being in low vibrational hell. Now, who the fuck put you in hell? Who told you to go to hell? Who told you to be in that environment? Who told you to be there in that society? Damn. Who told you to be there? Who put you there? Who put your mentality there? Who got your intuition there? Who got your instincts there? Now, what is hell? Hell is an area. Hell is a location. Heaven and hell is the same place. Understand and overstand. This is a circumstances situation there. You have to have both. You gotta have hell and you gotta have heaven. Now, being in someone else's hell and heaven is a circumstances situation where you're following something outside of you. You're not creating your own stepping stool. You're not creating your own stairs. You're not creating your own structure. You're being controlled and you're allowing something that's blindsiding you to have you go travel its environment, its substance, and of course, you're its sperm cell. Because being in hell is like being in a cell. So of course, if you in hell, only thing you're gonna be creating is cells from the holistic individual or holistic person that you're following. And of course, monkey see, monkey do. So if you a monkey, then all you're gonna do is follow. You ain't gonna have no idea. You ain't gonna have no real sense. You're gonna have no real flunctures. Everything is gonna be in a circumstance situation where you in a box. You feel caged. You feel very loud, low vibrational. And then these are the signs of being in low vibrational energy and being in internal hell. Feel me? You're gonna feel these energies on a day-to-day basis. And the reasons why you're feeling these things is because you didn't handle your responsibilities of babysitting, aka taking care of those waters and taking care of those chakras that you are vibrating with, aka this is a circumstance situation where if you ain't taking care of like that part of your body, aka that part of your car, if you ain't taking care of your O2 sensor, you ain't doing your tune up, your spiritual tune up, releasing and basically taking care of the right shit, then something is right. Something is not right. If your car takes O2 92 and you put diesel or 89 in that motherfucker, then you have a problem right now. You put the wrong gas in there. You put the wrong visions in there. You put the wrong feelings in there. You put the wrong waters in there. And of course, it turned into materialization, aka your shit broke down. You've seen it physically. It played out physically. Now, this is a circumstance situation where whatever you was doing, you was not in the right location. You was not in the right direction. You was in the wrong direction. And of course, if you being misled or misguided into the wrong direction, you're not going to be able to create your own map. You're not going to be able to create your own surroundings. You're not going to be able to control or create your own environment. All you're going to be doing is basically falling into the pit. And of course, you don't want to get felled into the pit. There's a whole lot of werewolves, a whole lot of sharks, a whole lot of whales down there waiting to eat your ass up. Because clearly, you're not strong enough to basically be in that environment. So that means you're in the wrong environment. And of course, it's ways of going about things. It's ways to basically put up a spiritual guard. But how long are you going to be able to do that? If you're not in the right area to basically create the right shields. If you're not in the environment to create the right perspectives. Something got to give. And of course, the only thing that needs to give is the shit that don't belong in your area. The shit that don't belong in your tank. AKA, you all got a tank. We all got a tank. We all got a battery too. And of course, our battery gets charged or recharged. Sometimes they don't get charged up. Sometimes motherfuckers be out here overworking themselves, killing themselves, thinking they gotta do all this extra shit to basically make ends meet. All they gotta do is look inside themselves. They got so much lost into looking outside themselves that they become spiritually dry. And if you spiritually dry, something not right. If your soul is dry, something not right. If your body's dry, your energy dry, something not right. You getting sucked up by parasites, vampires, energy succubus, aka these people are draining you. And of course, if you keep allowing this to happen, you're only going to create circumstances and situations to be in depression mode, aka be tired, be worried, and of course be sick. Because of course that's a sick environment, that's a sick stability, that's a sick circumstance, that's a sick situation, that's just a conference that you're rotating in. And of course you're not being able to rotate freely. You're not getting up out of that circumstance situation. It's understandable if it's very temporary, but if this is a circumstance situation where you're trying to make it permanent, then that's not how the universe goes. That's not how the energy flows. That's not how things are supposed to basically make out. And if you're making out with the wrong situations in your life, then this is a circumstance situation where these things start to wear and tear on you. And of course, if you're wearing and tearing, then that means you're not moving. That means you have to go to the doctor every day. That means you have to go to the shop every day, the mechanic shop. Now you got your whole body, aka the body of your car, got to be worked on now. You got to basically change things up. Then it's starting to break down because it's putting on too much mileage and shit. AKA the mileage that you're putting out is mileage of looking outside yourself. You need to find a mileage where you can like work inside yourself. And of course, when you find this correct mileage where you can work inside yourself, then this mileage is not going to be overwhelmed. AKA that means you can have a car and a spaceship and you won't die out too fast. But then again, you got to also look at the circumstance situation where you're not going to be overworking. You're not going to have to basically be doing all this extra stuff. You could just basically sit back and relax and allow the areas and locations that you want to basically bring treasures into your directions. So this is a circumstance situation where you ain't got to work too hard for something. Looking outside yourself, you spend more time internally looking within and finding the right spaces and the right areas where you can basically create some gas and get your own gas. And you ain't got to keep going to the gas station waiting to get gas. Now, who want to keep going to the gas station to go to get gas? That means you're not creating gas for yourself. You're basically becoming a consumer. And when you become a consumer, you rely on the government. You rely on somebody outside of you. You rely on shit basically outside of you to basically help you get these things. Knowing that you have power and you have a mentality where you can basically get your own gas or find your own way, find your own will. Of course, if you ain't got a lot of willpower within you, then of course your will is going to be compromised. And of course, if it's compromised, then you ain't going to be able to actually compromise with someone, aka someone, which means yourself. And if you ain't compromising with yourself, then that means you don't love yourself. That means you don't care for yourself. That means you're not inclined with yourself. I mean, these are the circumstances, situations, and endeavors that you're going to go through on a day-to-day basis if you don't basically switch things up or change things up. So it's very highly important to know that you're in the world where these entities don't want to see you win. These entities don't want to see you elevate. These entities are going to make it very hard for you to basically move on in life. But if you're putting up a spiritual guard and if you're fighting through this shit, then real spirits can basically see this and sit back and figure out how they're going to basically help you. But if you ain't helping yourself, what makes you think somebody gonna come help you? And it ain't just how you see things in this world. Things happen mysteriously. Things happen when you're not paying attention. Things happen where you're just focused being busy, that these things just start to grow. Where you put out a certain seed in your backyard and your backyard start to grow and basically start looking good. This is a circumstance situation where things are starting to basically be moving and growing. You're not putting too much pressure and issue in one spot and location. That spot and location where you was basically doing the planting, that shit growing. It ain't got too much stress and worry on it. It's growing freely. It's moving freely. It ain't got too much heaviness. It ain't moving slow. It's free. And of course, that's the whole purpose of not putting too much heavy emphasis on one area and location for too long. You gotta learn how to switch things up and move around. You gotta be a little bit more mutable. Because if you're just fixated and you're too fixed, then you're gonna be too damn stubborn, aka stubborn-minded. You don't want to be a stubborn-minded spirit, because of course, if you're too stubborn-minded, that means your spirit is not willing to basically have new experiences, new sex, new ideas, new feelings, new emotions, new craves, new desires, new ingerisms. So of course, if it's not in that new situation where it can go through another algorithm or create its own algorithm, that spirit is not going to be in a circumstance situation to basically support you for too long. That spirit is going to say, you know what, I don't like this. And of course, you can't control the spirit. You don't know what the spirit is. The spirit is the unseen. The spirit is the unknown. But of course, you are connected with that spirit, but you won't see that shit. And remember, the spirit is going to do mysterious things. So, where you may see something bad, it's actually something good. And of course, by you adding negative circumstances and situations to it and not just experiencing shit for what it truly is, then you put yourself in circumstances and situations of going against the higher power, which is your higher power, aka you getting lost into how shit that's supposed to basically be makeup into this world, how you seen how things are supposed to play out on TV or someone else's theory. You're not seeing your own experience come up with a own different magnitude or a different block. You're just going about the block in the street of one way. You're thinking that this block is a one way, but of course, this is a circumstance situation where your spirit can just make things two ways and have another road to basically grasp towards that areas. And these things do happen. Blocks, you can have blocks that was probably just one way. Now it's two ways. Now it's three ways. Now it's four ways. Just because a highway wasn't built, don't mean lanes ain't gonna be built in that highway. Also, gotta also be aware of being open to new environments and new high attitudes, gratitudes. And of course, if you ain't grasping towards gratitudes, then you ain't gonna be able to actually go higher in life. AKA, you're gonna get lost into circumstances and routines and patterns that your spirit does not want to get lost into. That's like you trying to live into a body for too damn long, and it's impossible to do that. You're gonna basically leave that body and create another body. And the longer you want to get too lost into that body, that's the more big pages and path lines that you create to basically keep experiencing. That means you're so focused on to what's going on in this world, all the experiences that you want to basically get lost into this flesh. That means when you die and leave this body, what happens is everything that was on your heart and your mind when you was dying, these start to basically become waning. It start to wane down. Of course, when it wane down, you have to experience this shit. It's just like the new moon, from the full moon to the wax moon to the waning moon. It's the same circumstance situation. And whatever's on your heart and your mind for the 23 hours of the day, these are what you're basically going to be inheriting and chewing on. And of course, you don't want to spit these out unless it's worth spitting out. But if you're in an environment where you're not planting good natures and good seeds, why are you even in that circumstance situation to begin with? You got to learn how to get yourself out of that space, out of that location, and try to like put yourself in a better space, in a better environment where you can be comfortable. And of course, it's cool to be comfortable, but you can't be comfortable too long. You got to learn how to find equilibrium and balance. Feel me? You can't get too stagnated and too stuck into one routine of relaxation. You got to learn how to switch it up sometimes. Feel me? You got to learn how to add new flavors and new colors and new ingredients in that spectrum. This way, when you can do this, you can be able to have more rainbows and more fruits for you to be able to sell. And you ain't just selling one thing, feel me? But if everybody loved that one thing, what's the point of not selling it? But of course, come up with new ways and new endeavors, because after a while, you get tired and bored of the same shit. Just like you get tired and bored of the same bitch. You gotta learn how to switch it up sometimes. And what I mean by that, I mean feelings and emotions. We ain't just talking about physical bodies. Sometimes, if it ever come down to the point where you get tired of an individual, then that means you need to separate from this individual, or y'all need to make space. AKA, just take a breather break. Don't be too tied up and too on top of each other. Because of course, when you got the sun doing that, it gets very hot. You start to sweat. You start to lose things. And of course, ain't nothing wrong with sweating. But if you sweating too much, then it's like, damn, you gotta have your room and your space. You gotta have your AC on. This way, that's the whole purpose of having winter, spring, summer, and fall. It's the whole purpose of the seasons. And if you ain't riding the right season, if you ain't planting the right waves or the right seeds, then what is the whole purpose of you even being in a circumstance situation of being in the body? Feel me? You got to go through these seasons. You got to go through these changes. And you got to ride the waves. If you can ride the waves, then of course, everything can basically go right in your way. But if you ain't riding a wave, then how things going to go on your wave? Feel me? And this is a wave that we all created, a pattern. But we, of course, we know how to switch the patterns up and come up with new differences. And we ain't just lost into one emphasis. So this is the whole purpose of being in hell, or being in low vibrational energies. You in the same routine pattern. You're doing the same shit. You're vibrating low. You're attaching yourself to the flesh. You're attaching yourself to all the pains and structure and domination that's going on and that you're seeing outside of you. You get lost into race debates. You get lost into reality. You get lost into this world only. You're not basically expanding. You're not going above your horizons. You're not being able to basically create your own triangles. You're not being able to create your own conjunctions, your own theologies, your own theories, your own perspective. You don't have your own perspective on anything. You're just lost to what society gave you, aka a Happy Meal. But you don't got your own Happy Meal. You ain't got your own McDonald's. You ain't got your own Burger King. We got to change that. Love y'all.